Why, hello there! I'm Professor Joel, and this is Planet Scooby Reviews. Every week we review a Scooby-Doo episode, and this week we are doing a YouTube request by Pastry Vinnolla. The episode is Vampire Bats and Scaredy Cats. Pastry has been an early supporter of this channel since day one, and I really appreciate Pastry's comments and encouragement. So thanks again, Pastry. This episode is for you. So Vampire Bats and Scaredy Cats originally ran as a segment of Scooby's All-Stars Laugh Olympics, and it premiered on TV on September 17th, 1977. Later on, it was repackaged as the second episode of the Scooby-Doo show for the second season. If you'd like to own this episode, you can buy it on the Best of Scooby-Doo, the 50th anniversary set on Amazon. I'll leave a link below. This is a pretty cool set as it features 50 of the greatest Scooby-Doo episodes ever in the last 50 years. I own it on VHS. This is a double feature with the Headless Horseman of Halloween. Pretty cool. I bought this about 20 years ago. This is how we had to watch Scooby-Doo back in the day on VHS. 2 episodes. This would cost like 20 bucks. So you're paying 10 bucks an episode. Now you can buy an episode on YouTube or even iTunes for like 99 cents. It's a glorious land we live in now. Anyway, there's another VHS out there called Scooby-Doo's Spookiest Tales that is quite sought after among Scooby-Doo fans because it features an alternate cut of this episode. It has a lot of different voice things going on and different animation style cuts things going on. You have to kind of read it to understand it, and I'll leave a link below to planetscooby.com where I cover the differences. This episode, or this VHS tape, has a little fun fact on the back, and it says, "Fun fact. Did you know Scooby's favorite milkshake is mango?" I did not know that. So anyway, before I review this episode, I just want to note that it does take place on Great Skull Island, and I thought I'd look at the reviews for Great Skull Island Hotel as the majority of this episode takes place there. So I'm just going to pull this up. These are Google reviews. So here we have a review from Agnes Drackle, and it says, "Too much commotion during our Undertaker's convention. Caught the owner sleeping in one of our display coffins. Outrageous. Great waffles." But I love how he still gives it five stars. And another review, or it's actually another complaint about the owner, is, "Owner tried to bite me in my sleep." So what is going on with the owners of this hotel? And here's another review that says, "It's rumored that vampires live here." Interesting. And then finally we have a review from some clown. I don't know. This one's bizarre. "I found a vampire bat in my flip-flop." So it's kind of unusual. Finding a bat in your flip-flop. Weird. Anyway, looks like we're in for a crazy episode. So let's get to it. The episode opens up with the gang, along with Scooby-Dum, on a boat. They are off to see Daphne's friend Lisa for her 18th birthday. "Lisa, it's your birthday." Lisa is about to inherit a hotel on Great Skull Island, not to be confused with Skull Cove from Go Away Go Ship. Great Skull Island, according to Velma, is rumored to be inhabited by vampires.
"It's been said that there are vampires on the island."
Just after they dock, the ferry captain asks Freddy and Shaggy to take a box to the hotel for a hotel guest named Mr. Dracula. Fred is more than happy to oblige. However, when Shaggy helps him load it into the mystery machine, they accidentally drop it, revealing a coffin inside the box. Scooby-Dum gives his best efforts to assist the gang, and he accidentally opens the coffin, releasing a bat. The gang arrive at the hotel and give the coffin to Mr. Dracula.
"Ah, yes. I've been waiting a long time."
Apparently, he needed it for an Undertaker's convention.
The Undertaker! The Undertaker!
And it is one of the many coffins on display in the grand ballroom.
Relax! Lisa told us there's an Undertaker's convention at the hotel.
When they arrive, though, the hotel is quite empty. It only seems to be Mr. Dracula and a doorman who needs to be woken up as he's sleeping under the desk. The gang head up to Lisa's room and meet her along with her Uncle Leon. We learn that Uncle Leon is like a father to her, and he has raised her since she was a small child. In fact, at the end of the episode, he said he's been raising her since she was pretty much born. Uncle Leon cracks a joke saying that tomorrow, Lisa will become his boss. Uncle Leon's wristwatch alarm goes off.
My wrist alarm.
And it's time for him to get back to business. Meanwhile, the guys and girls decide to hit the hay. Lisa shows Velma and Daphne their room and decides it's too small for them, so they switch rooms. As Daphne is combing her hair and Velma is doing some sit-ups, the girls scare themselves into bed by discussing the fact that there might be vampires on this island. After falling asleep, it doesn't take long for a vampire to make his appearance. Freddy and the boys hear Velma and Daphne screams of terror and they rush into the room, just in time to see the vampire flee. Velma explains to Freddy that all the doors and windows were locked, so she is clueless as to how the vampire got in. The gang search for clues and discover a ventilation duct large enough for a human to get into. Daphne runs into Lisa's room to tell her about the vampire, while Shaggy, Scooby, and Scooby-Dum crawl into the duct to see what lies at the other end. In Lisa's room, Daphne explains what has just gone down. As Lisa goes to change so they can go investigate, the phone rings, and Daphne hears a bell on the other end and discusses it as being weird.
Hello?
What's up?
Hello?
What's up? Yo, pick up the phone. What's up?
At the other end of the ventilation shaft, Shaggy, Scooby, and Scooby-Dum find themselves in a dusty hotel bedroom. It doesn't take long for them to run into the vampire, and a chase ensues.
I want blood!
Eventually escaping, the three of them reunite with Freddy and the girls. In the dusty hotel bedroom, the gang discover a dog whistle, which turns out to be clue number 1. This is a whistle that can only be heard by animals because the frequency is too high for humans to hear. Alarmed by all the noise, Uncle Leon shows up and Lisa explains that they just saw a vampire. Uncle Leon then reveals to Lisa that her grandfather was actually a vampire.
Family secret?
It's kept in this safe. This was your grandfather.
Zoinks! You mean Gramp was a vamp?
Yes, here to turn you into a vampire.
Uncle Leon suspects that the grandfather has returned to turn Lisa into a vampire because this is the family curse. The gang decide to split up and they look for clues to solve this mystery. Freddy and the girls head to the ballroom to inspect the coffins. Shaggy, Scooby, and Scooby-Dum are given the task of guarding Lisa. Lisa answers her phone and hears the same bell that Daphne heard earlier. Much to Scooby and Shaggy's horror, this turns her into a vampire.
And against the door, too.
I'll answer it. Hello? Beauty hint.
Get out of here!
She chases Shaggy, Scooby, and Scooby-Dum out of the room and then they bump into her vampire grandfather. Shaggy and the dogs run outside and escape on some golf carts. After a chase through the golf course, they evade the vampire and head back to the ballroom to reunite with Freddy and the girls. In the ballroom, Scooby-Dum discovers a piece of paper in a coffin labeled Exo 6 Desmo. Freddy and the girls head out to look for Lisa and they tell Shaggy and the dogs to guard the room. Shaggy hears the vampire enter the room and they all hide in a coffin. There he witnesses the vampire tucking Lisa into a coffin. Shaggy runs and gets Freddy and the girls, and Velma smacks Lisa's face silly several times to awaken her from the vampire curse. Lisa explains she doesn't remember a thing after hearing the bells over the phone.
Wake up! Well, what happened?
Hey, what happened?
Daphne tells the gang that she also heard a bell at one point, and the wheel starts spinning in Freddy's and Velma's head. Freddy devises a trap that, of course, doesn't go according to plan, but eventually they do end up catching the vampire. The vampire turns out to be Uncle Leon.
Here's who the vampire really is.
Uncle Leon! Uncle Leon, how could you?
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
In an act of madness, He wanted Lisa out of the way so he could steal her inheritance of the hotel. He was angry that for the past 18 years he ran this hotel to the dead success that it is now because the hotel was pretty much empty and he just didn't want to give it away. The entire story about Lisa's grandfather being a vampire was fabricated, and he used his wristwatch alarm bell to hypnotize her. His plan was to make her think that she was a vampire, so she would be institutionalized in a mental hospital. This way the hotel would all be his. The dog whistle was so he could control the bats at his whim, and the torn piece of paper meant exotic pet shop 6 Desimandante, which is Latin for vampire bats. This receipt was evidence that he actually went out and bought vampire bats to plant into the hotel. With another mystery solved, the police escort Uncle Leon to the slammer. I give this episode 10 out of 10. This episode is amazing. I found the vampire to have tons of personality, and the plot is just so wacky with Lisa turning into a vampire and being hypnotized. This episode is crazy good. With the episode taking place in a hotel on an island shaped like a skull, with an Undertaker convention going on, it's epic. This might also be one of the darkest plots a villain has ever had in a Scooby-Doo episode. I mean, we have a loving uncle who's raised this girl who's his niece for the past 18 years and then wants her committed so he can own a failing hotel on an island that very few people visit. Pretty awesome. If I had one issue, and it's a minor issue, it's that the vampire kind of makes a panther noise. I thought this was kind of weird, but hey, what do I know? Maybe this is what vampires sound like in real life. If you like this episode, please hit the like button and or subscribe. It really helps me out, and I appreciate any feedback you offer. If you'd like to request an episode, leave a comment below or on planetscooby.com. Planetscooby.com is my website where I also do written reviews of the episode with screen captures, and I write about upcoming Scooby-Doo news. Until next week, stay spooky.